some of it.
Right, welcome back to the Travelling Tom podcast. I'm joined today yet again by the wonderful Chris and Gabs from chrisandgabsworldcyclingtour.com. It's great to not just only have them as guests, but as return guests as well. We've seen them before on the channel. I'm in a less glamorous studio now. We were in Media City last time. I'm in my wonderful bedroom, but they've got a really cool setup in Georgia. I believe you're in right now, as you can see there next to the. I was going to say the slightly worn out Union Jack next to the
it's
nice fresh. So for those who didn't see the first podcast or don't know what you guys are doing or what you're about, would you just like to bring us up to speed on your adventure?
I'll let you start.
Yeah, I'll start. Well, July the 9th last year, we set off on our World Cycling Tour, and we're trying to conquer 67 countries on 100,000 kilometres. So we've been on the road.
Seven continents.
7 continents, yeah. And we're cycling for Prevent Breast Cancer. And we've been on the road now for 10 months. Yeah,
so
and we're in Georgia.
You're currently in Georgia. So what made you actually start? What made you come up with the idea to do this World Cycling Tour, and why Prevent Breast Cancer? Why is that your charity?
Well, we've done a lot of cycling in the past, so it's always been a passion of ours, cycling. And we've done a couple of small tours about 3 years ago. We did Southeast Asia and we cycled the UK to Spain. Yeah. So we'd planned to do a bigger tour, not quite a world tour, but we was gonna go back to Southeast Asia. We'd booked the flights. We're flying to Vietnam, and we're going to cycle Vietnam to India. But Gabriella's family has got a history of cancer, so because she's a high risk, we thought it's best to just maybe go and get a checkup before we go and set off on which was originally going to be like a 12-month tour. So that's what we did. 2 weeks before, when was it?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
February 2017. Yeah, she went for a routine mammogram. It was actually at the charity where Prevent Breast Cancer is, the Nightingale
Centre. Yeah.
And well, you explain.
So I just went for a routine mammogram, and then cutting a long story very short, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So we had to cancel the cycling tour. So then for like a year and a half, I'd just been going through surgery, chemotherapy, more treatment. And along the way, we got to know Prevent Breast Cancer and the people there, the surgeons, the scientists, and we got to know more about what they do as a charity. So it just became like we were always there every week, because I was always having checkups and my treatment. So it became like a little family, got to know everyone. So at the end of my treatment, it was a shame just to say goodbye, thank you very much. We just wanted to be part of this great charity and raise money for them. And that's what we decided to do. And then I don't know where Cycling the World came from.
That was probably down to me. So.
We were in Spain, and we were living in Spain for a while.
While Gabs was
in a camper van.
So going back to, I'll try not to waffle, because I'm famous for that. So, basically, when she was initially diagnosed, she was diagnosed with like a pre-cancer in one breast. So basically, because we'd been talking about preventative measures anyway, it made sense to have a double mastectomy, didn't it? So we went back to the hospital 2 weeks later for results, and it was a lot worse than we originally. The diagnosis was a misdiagnosis, which is one of them things, and so she had to then go through like chemotherapy and other treatment, which, like you say, lasted a year and a half. So what we did, we thought rather than hanging around in the UK, we decided to live in Spain from a camper van. We used to fly back to Manchester every 3 weeks, didn't we, for your treatment? Yeah. And it was in Spain though that got the idea to make it into a 7-year world tour.
Because we were originally, after my surgery, said to the charity, "Oh, we're going to cycle for you, the world," but we didn't really kind of mean the world. We were going to Vietnam and India.
We were going back to the original plans that we'd already previously planned, and that was to Vietnam, to cycle to India over a year, maybe even 2 years. But
I think the world bit came because we always used to travelling and cycling, and we'd cancelled 3 trips, hadn't we, because of the cancer. We felt kind of trapped, didn't we? And when I got like, you're free to go, we were like, oh yeah, I'll just go and cycle the world, because you never know what's going to happen. So I think that's where the cycling world came.
Yeah, and then it just made sense. The longer that we're on the road, the more, flying the flag for Prevent Breast Cancer is, the longer we're on the road, obviously, the more funding we can raise, and also for the awareness as well for the charity.
And we didn't realise it was going to take 7 years until we added all our routes up, because we'd planned every route and every country. And then when it came to 7 years, we're like, ooh, thought it was going to be about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't know your sort of backstory, I think we covered it a bit more in depth on the last podcast. So I'll link that down below. And obviously, those guys can go and check it out. Just to sort of clarify, Prevent Breast Cancer, they're slightly different from the likes of Cancer Research UK and other cancer charities, aren't they? Because they focus on stopping the problem before it started. Is that right?
Yeah, their motto is like predict, prevent, protect.
Yeah.
So that's what they're all about. They're into solely predicting and preventing.
Yeah, they're wanting to stop people getting it.
They're the only charity in the UK that does this. Yeah, unlike they are totally different to all the other charities.
Well, they have a great website, and you can go on their website and read exactly where all the money goes and what research they've found out now, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're based in Wythenshawe at the Nightingale Centre, this is where all the research and everything's done under this one roof, and they're in a small office there. So that's where it all happens. Yeah.
So, what's your kind of target? How much do you want to raise for them, and how far along are you on that at the moment?
Well, we want to raise £100,000, which and that would go into the research. We've raised. We've raised. It's
no, we've done well. We've raised
£6,000. £6,300. But we have got a couple of fundraisers. People fundraising for us this year. One is the Snodland Council. So it's a little town just outside London. Because when we set off on our tour last year, you probably recall we did something called Meet the Mayor.
Meet the Mayor, yeah.
For all the towns and cities and little villages throughout the UK, we met the mayor. Sometimes we met 2 mayors in a day, and so we called in at Snodland, and we actually met the primary school there and the council, and they're very kindly this year. It's their summer carnival in July. So they're going to all the money that they raise there is going to prevent breast cancer, and they're also their Christmas fair. Again, all proceeds that they raise are going to go to prevent breast cancer. So it's things like that is a big help for us, because it's difficult. We find it difficult on the road to do the fundraising side. We do lots of talks with like TV, newspapers. We can
do raising the awareness is easier to do on the road than.
But it's more important. We find it more important of the awareness, flying the flag. Then it'd be great to raise loads of money, but I think the awareness itself is worth a great value as well.
So I follow your travels. You've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the major social media channels. What amazes me is not only are you going like cycling throughout the whole world, you're also documenting it as well. You've got loads of videos, loads of photos. You post, I'd say, multiple times a day by the looks of it. How are you managing that? Because I find it difficult enough having all the equipment with me at home to make content constantly, to get stuff out there. How are you dealing with carrying all the equipment, editing everything, and sort of being social media geniuses, in my opinion?
We do it because we enjoy doing that, because sometimes cycling gets really boring, doesn't it? So it's like something fun to do. But Chris is the
But
The
Massive
cameraman,
mind.
the editor, the director, the producer.
yeah, because some people say, "Oh, why is your bike so heavy?" And it's because I do carry.
And Chris carries all the equipment.
Yeah, we've got a couple of cameras, obviously a laptop. We've got a drone as well. But I'm carrying quite a lot of
all your tripods.
Portable battery packs. So obviously, because sometimes we might be in areas where, a couple of weeks and we've just got no access to power to charge anything. So I carry quite a bunch of battery packs, which probably weigh just 10 kilo. It's like they equate to like a car battery.
And when you're in your tent at night, it gives you something to do, doesn't it? When you're in the middle of nowhere and you've had to camp up early, and that's when you do all your editing.
We've got a lot of video footage. Like we do make little short films and things on each country, but yeah, we have got a lot of content because it's just easier as you're cycling to record it as you go, because we have the GoPros, don't we, on the helmets. Like I said, we've got the drone.
How do you store everything?
I store it on these just portable hard drives. I've got like 3 terabytes of storage. So,
And you how many months in?
we're 11 months. 11. I think it's 11 months. Yeah, because we officially left our home on the 29th of June last year because we did a bit of a test route, didn't we, for a week or so, and then
So 6 years and 1 month to go.
Yeah.
On the way I'm cycling, it'd be about 10.
But it's actually been easier than expected as far as getting a connection like on the internet, because there is now and again there's places that you go to like a coffee shop or something, you can get Wi-Fi, but it's never that good. So we just tend to buy the country's own SIM card for your phone, and believe it or not, most countries we've been through, it's really really cheap to buy a SIM card. It's a lot more cheaper than it is in the UK.
Yeah. I find that amazing that you've done all this video footage so far. You're not even a year in yet, so I shudder to think how much you'll be carrying with you in about 5 years' time when you're where will you be then? Probably in Antarctica or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So in 5 years.
Yeah.
So
how that way? Yeah.
How are you finding it? Obviously, it's physically. I imagine it's quite taxing. How are you managing that with regards to kind of motivation, food, all that sort of stuff? Keeping yourself on the right track, so to speak.
It has been tough because what the problem has been, we've had really bad weather everywhere, haven't we? In Greece, Turkey, where we thought, oh, these are hot countries. We've just been cycling through like winter.
Well, since
Italy,
we had Christmas in Italy, and then in the New Year we set off from Italy, and we came through like Croatia and the Balkans. So it was the weather that has been bad for 7 months. When we got to Montenegro and Albania, it was like February, so it was expected because we was high up in the mountains. And we camped, so it was like on average it was about -10 up in the mountains with lots of snow.
And then your clothes are always wet and damp, and you get up in the morning, they're all cold and frozen, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the problem.
So that's been the tough part, hasn't it? And there's been a few times where we've gone, what we doing? It has been really bad, hasn't it? The weather.
Yeah, because especially in these colder months we've had, because you get up in the morning, you try and dry your clothes, but it just doesn't happen, does it?
And then cycling through Turkey, and the weather through Turkey's been shocking, hasn't it? Gale force winds, then we'd have snow, then we'd have rain, then we'd have hailstone. But then in Turkey, the roads just go on forever and ever. And the route we took, we wouldn't see anybody for days.
No.
Maybe a few shepherds and the sheep, and then we'd camp, and there'd be nothing around. So it gets a bit lonely as well, doesn't it? And because the bikes are so heavy, we cycle really slow, and then it just gets a bit frustrating, doesn't it? And boring, and it's cold. So I've had a few moments where I've gone, no, I can't do this anymore, and thrown my bike down, and not as bad as that, but.
No, it's been difficult,
it has been really difficult, but now we're in Georgia, the weather's picked up, hasn't it? And So
How many miles are you doing a day, roughly?
Well, it depends on the terrain. So it can be anything. But on average, the highest mileage we're doing is kilometres is like 70 kilometres, 80 kilometres. So the most in miles, we wouldn't do more than 50 miles, but then we can be doing as little as 15 miles if it's just mountain after mountain.
I think one day we only did about 7 miles because in Turkey, wasn't it? And the weather just
Headwind, yeah.
we're just getting thrown off our bikes. So we just had to put a tent up. It was like a little petrol station, gas station. And he said, "Oh, you can put your tent," and we just camped around the back, didn't we?
Yes, because we've had quite a few
Shelter.
cyclists actually ask that question. Why? We noticed that over the past couple of weeks you've only cycled, say, you're only doing like 20 something miles a day. But then when you weigh up that we're in a tent, so you get up early in the morning, it takes an hour.
These are people that are on carbon racing bikes back in the UK.
You get a lot of like road club cyclists.
And they're like, "Why are you only cycling so many miles?" And we're like, "Well, you try and ride a bike that's 100 kilos and in bad weather."
But it's everything. It's not. We're not just going out. You're not just going out for like a week's cycling on a holiday. This is your life. You don't always want to cycle big mileage. I know. The main thing is you get up in the morning. You've got an hour to collapse everything down. You've got to eat, make food,
breakfast.
Then you get on the road. But then we're also again, like you say, documenting stuff with video, and so you stop and record and getting the tripod out, getting the drone out. And then it gets to that stage of the day when you've got to then start looking for somewhere to put your tent, obviously where you can't be seen. So you've got to do this before it gets dark. And in the winter months, we've been having to look for somewhere to camp around like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So there's only physically so many hours you can cycle in a day when you take into account you've got everything else to sort out as well.
How are your bikes holding up? Have you had any punctures yet? I'm guessing you must have had a few.
Chris in Pisa, your bike, you had a problem with your bike because of the trailer, the weight of his trailer.
Yeah, I've no longer got the trailer.
Broke something.
Because the thing is, because I was carrying so much stuff, with my trailer, my bike was weighing 135 kilo. Which it was, it's heavy, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was it had damaged the rear of my bike. My rear wheel, the hub collapsed, and so that's when I decided when I was in Pisa to post my trailer back to the UK. And so the bike's now.
The bike is actually here with a puncture as we speak, ready to be repaired.
When it's fully loaded up, it weighs just under 90 kilo. But again, it's because I'm carrying things that I need. Because again, some people say you don't need that much stuff, but I actually do need that much stuff because
because my chain went, didn't it, in Italy, in the middle of nowhere, up some mountain pass, and luckily you had the tool to fix it, didn't you?
Yes, you've got to carry things for all eventualities because you don't know what's going to happen. But the bikes, really, to be fair, we've had some flat tyres. My rear pannier rack collapsed the other week, just dropped to pieces. But again, because I carry bits of spares and things, I was able to
tape it up.
Yeah, to fix it. So that happens quite often. You have spokes on your wheels.
Yeah, I've lost a spoke off my wheel.
I'm on my front wheel is it's my third wheel since we set off. Because a lot of the roads we go on, obviously we're going on roads which aren't the greatest condition. So yeah, I've had to put them on my third wheel.
I can't believe there's anything left of you, to be honest, because even when I was on it was your Instagram the other day, you posted a picture of a 10-kilometer run you did around a lake in Georgia, and I thought, how are you managing that? Like, I couldn't even manage that, after chilling out all day. I don't know how you guys are cycling, all this mileage, clocking up all these miles on the road, and then thinking, oh, do you know what? Fancy doing a 10-kilometer run.
Well, the reason for that, I'm not actually into running, to be honest. I'm not actually into any exercise. Luckily, cycling, obviously, it's the only way I can stay in shape because I don't like going to the gym or anything like that. So that's a bonus for me, actually, because I like to have a beer. I like to eat whatever I want to eat. And the good thing when you're cycling, it keeps the weight off you, and you need the calories. So when you're cycling, it's so easy to stay slim. Yeah. But the problem I have is if I stop cycling for just a week because of my the way I like to just eat and drink, I can quite easily put a bit of weight on. So hence why
we run to keep in shape, keep our fitness up, because there's a lot of wine here in Georgia.
Yeah. So.
Well, I was going to say that leads nicely into my next question, because you are currently in Georgia. It's a place I visited myself last year. I only went to the capital, Tbilisi.
Yeah, that's where we are now. Yeah.
Is that where you are now? It's an absolutely fantastic country. How are you guys finding it?
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, we really like it. We stayed in Batumi for a few days when we first crossed the border.
Yeah.
On the coast.
Yes, that like seaside resort, that isn't it?
Yeah, it was nice. And now we're here. Yeah, it's good. The social's good, isn't it? There's loads of English people here. And
it's probably
Americans.
It's too easy. It's extremely cheap. Now I actually drink, so the cost of like a glass of wine or a beer is 50p. You can get it for. So.
And it's a good place for us to stop and rest, because you don't need a visa, and obviously you can stay here 12 months.
Yeah, I think it's the only country in the world that you can stay for that long for.
Yeah, and that's why there's a lot of English people here, isn't it? And Americans, because it's so easy for them.
But I know we're supposed to. One of the things about our World Cycling Tour, because it's to prevent breast cancer.
Stop talking about drinking.
Is we're promoting a healthy lifestyle. Now, Gabriella can do the health, because she's always been into healthy eating and healthy living and fitness.
I'm a fitness.
But I'm the worst example of healthy lifestyle, so you would never follow me. But Georgia's actually, I believe it's where wine originates from. It's got date for, is it 8,000 years?
And this weekend, on Sunday, is Independence Day, so there's some big street party going on right in the centre. So they're just setting up for that at the minute.
How long are you there for?
We're not sure yet, because we've got a few meetups. We're meeting up with local news press. Like today, we did an interview with someone, but we've got a few more meetings over the next several weeks. We're
going to be here about a month, aren't we?
Yeah, certainly for the next month. Yeah.
I know you mentioned before you've had a lot of you've kind of become mini celebrities, really. You've had a lot of media interest, shall we say? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well,
we've done quite well, haven't we? Each country we go to, we try and we do get in touch with all the media people, don't we? So Istanbul, we did a bit of TV for their local
a channel. It's their main channel called TRT World News. So they broadcast literally all over the world. So yeah, we did an interview with them in Istanbul, which gave us great coverage, because then that next minute it was being posted in Israel, Australia. Yeah. We had messages from Australia, because again they show it on all their social media channels. Yeah, so we can only do it once we arrive somewhere, because we can never actually tell anyone what
what day
we can say we're going to be there next week, but it doesn't always work that way. So that's what we try and do as much as we can, and it's quite easy just through contacting these people through the likes of Twitter and Facebook.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting story, isn't it? You probably, as you guys will know, you don't get too many people doing what you're doing. So it's a quick win for media outlets, really, because they can post your story, and it's something that people do want to share with the world as well. So that'll not only help them get views, but it'll help you hopefully meet your fundraising targets and get those likes and those shares up on Facebook.
Yeah, it's good now. Because when we first met you, we hadn't set off or anything, so we didn't know what to expect. But now we've done 11 months. We've got, some stories to tell, and we know what it's like, and we've had them experiences, the good and the bad, haven't we? And all the different people we've met along the way. So we've got a better story now, because we're already we are travelling and living from our bikes.
And it is new to us all this. Since before we set off, I'd never did Instagram and didn't use Facebook that much. But you've got to use it all, haven't you? It's the easiest way to get your followings and get your story out there.
Told,
that's it.
I look at people's Instagram and I think, how did they get so many followers? And they've always got these photographs, haven't they, of like everything's perfect. They're always smiling, and and it's just not, that's not the case. It's like with anything that you do, really, isn't it? You can't always be happy everything goes to plan. Like for us cycling, we've had probably more times that we could have happily called it a day, quit, because it's been that difficult.
And that's why our videos are quite true, because when I'm whinging and moaning and all this, Chris puts it all in the videos.
I've got lots.
So you don't just get us, oh, we're happy cycling, this is great. Chris actually shows, you can hear me whittering in the background.
Well, it's great to see, because obviously, like, you know, like you say, a lot of people are different. They want to show the kind of idealized versions of their lives. So that is quite refreshing to, you know, see you guys portray a more accurate representation of life on the road. So what's your, I mean, I know you said you've got a few stories to tell. What's kind of been your best moment or your favorite bit so far?
Well, there is a lot. So in no particular order. Like one was well, when we cycled through Italy just before we got to Florence. Again, so we're camping all the time. We just knock on people's doors, and then there's one particular time we knocked on the church door, and it was a priest called Priest Arian. He's actually originally from Albania, so we stayed at the
camped
church
on his garden.
We became quite good friends with him just through social media. You know, we're WhatsApping Priest Arian, which was quite great. And he said that when you get to Albania, let him know, and he'll arrange for us to stay at a convent, because he has a lot of.
That's where he trained.
Yeah, he trained in a place called Skodra in Albania. So we went there and stayed.
Albania is a great place to go.
Yeah,
that was amazing, Albania. Yeah.
But we stayed with the nuns at the convent for about a week. So that was a real.
Yeah, we had a good time with Sister Vera, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Sister Spring. And they took us out every night, and then they had parties for us. But we
learned a lot about Albania's history, like from the war and the communist time. It was a real eye opener, yeah.
Because we don't know anything about the countries, do we, that we're cycling through? And then it's when you get there and you meet people, that's when you learn about the countries.
So would you say Albania is your favourite place you've visited so far?
To cycle through.
So far, I'd say Montenegro and Albania has been the most interesting
surprised
place.
us, didn't it? Yeah.
Obviously, Georgia, we've not been here long enough yet, but yeah.
Well, it seems like you're taking to Georgia pretty well, judging by your Facebook post. And I know you're trying to promote healthy eating, but I've seen a fair amount of food and drink on that Georgia trip. But I can't blame you, because the food there is incredible.
We'd come through Turkey. No offense to any Turkish people or Turkey. We loved it in Turkey, and the people were great. But all we seemed to have was doner meat and bread. Doner meat and bread. And
tea and kebabs, which it's all right if you're just going on holiday for a week or so, but when you've got 2 months of...
so when I going through Turkey, then all my cravings start from the UK, and I'm thinking, fry up and fish and chips and steak, peas and tomatoes. And then when we got into Georgia and they have everything, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I'd say Georgian food is by far the most variety out of everywhere else we've been. The food's great. I've just got to be careful, because the longer I stay off my bike, I'm going to be putting them extra kilos on.
We've met a lot of expats here, and they say the same. They say, I've only been here a few months, and they said I put on 10 pounds, because all they do is eat and drink.
It's a very high carb diet in Georgia, yeah.
And nowhere closes. Everywhere stays open, doesn't it, all night?
Yeah. It's easily done. I mean, I remember when I went last year, they have that bread that's like, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like sort of circular, and it has kind of 2 little knobs at the end, and then it's filled with like cheese and an egg.
And then I don't know the name for it, but
lots of breads and it's
Where are you looking forward to going to the most? Is it still Mongolia?
I don't know. It's not going to be. No, it's not at the top of the list, is it?
No. Because the next one is Azerbaijan, isn't it? And going over to Kazakhstan. So we're just planning that now, because we only have 30-day visas. So and the logistics of cycling from border to border, so we're kind of having to zigzag in and out of countries to get to China.
I'm looking forward to when we leave Georgia. We go into Azerbaijan, but we'll only be in Azerbaijan probably, I don't know, 2 weeks because we're heading to a place called Baku, which is a city just on the Adriatic, on the Caspian Sea.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a boat then across to Kazakhstan, and I believe this boat trip is quite not for the faint-hearted because you sometimes have to wait about 4 or 5 days. It's just in harbour.
Yeah, they don't give you a time when they're leaving. It's like a cargo ship, isn't it? So when it's full,
it goes.
So you can get on. So people say they've camped there for days, haven't they?
Yeah, you just camp in the car park, literally.
I'm looking forward to that. We like.
But I believe if the seas get quite rough, they will just literally drop anchor in the middle of the Caspian Sea, and you'll just sit there for a few days.
I get seasick even on a lilo.
Yeah. So you can't even say where you'll be, in a couple of months' time, because you'll presumably just have to go with the flow, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of have a rough idea because of visas, isn't it? So we will be like Kazakhstan around there, won't we?
Yeah, because Azerbaijan is only going to be a couple of weeks, but then it's Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
But we'll go in and out of a couple of them because of visas.
And then when we get to China, we're just debating whether we're going over to Mongolia or down into Nepal, wasn't it? Because of whatever time we get there, the weather and everything like that.
Yeah, because our original route was into China, then Mongolia, then to Korea, and then over to Japan that way. But because I suppose we're a bit behind because we're spending longer in places than we planned, we're going to go into China, and we were hoping to try and get over to through Tibet and to Nepal. That's our thoughts, and then we'd have to come back round the other way to do Mongolia when the weather's better, because it'll just like from I think November it'll just be too cold to go to Mongolia now.
Now we're just trying to get to Southeast Asia, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, it's probably a bit. Well, I imagine it's remote in a lot of areas of Mongolia, so you do probably want to go when the weather is more appropriate, because if you run into any trouble, you're probably quite far from any action there. So, and funnily enough, I'm actually in August. I fly back from South Korea to London, and on the way, I'm stopping off in Kazakhstan, in the capital, for 3 nights. So, if by chance, we cross paths, we could always meet up for a drink. What's that? Sorry.
When did you say you were going?
It's mid-August, so I don't know whether that'll be around when you're there.
Kazakhstan,
But here's a fact for you: the capital. Well, it was called Astana, but they've recently renamed it to, I think, Nursultan, after one of the former presidents or something.
Looking it up, and I'm thinking, where's my Astana gone off my map? And that's right.
So they've changed the name. So how do you think, now you've done so much of it, do you think you're sort of well positioned to complete your goal to reach all the places that you want to? I know there'll be challenges in the way, but do you think that you're on course to do it?
We only now, because at the beginning it was like this 7 years and we've got to do all this and all that, and it was really daunting and like, I'm never going to see my mum and everything like that. So now we just do it country at a time, and then when we get to there we go, we made it. And then so basically in my head I base it on country at a time, and at the moment I'm now just going to try and make it to Southeast Asia.
You're just looking at stages.
It's just in stages.
I'd
like to think so.
I've got no reason. I just like traveling, so it makes no odds to me. The hardest thing about it all is obviously friends and family, because you're not going to see them for a long time, because not everybody can fly out and see you. We were lucky enough when we was in Italy, family came out to Pisa. That was back in November last year. It's always the question, when will we see people again?
But you know that you enjoy what you're doing, because when you stop, like we've stopped here because we really needed to stop because I'd had enough. Well, then when you've had a few weeks off your bike and you're like itching, aren't you, to get back on the road and travel. So we've I'd like to say we will continue.
Keep
going.
And the other thing is you meet nice people along the way, especially if you stay somewhere for a week or 2 weeks. Like already here in Georgia, we've met some great people. And it's always a shame, it's sad really, because when you have to say goodbye, and so you pick up friends along the way, but the likelihood is you're probably never really going to see them again.
Well, I suppose you can keep up with them on social media, and they can keep up with you.
Yeah, because we met a nice couple in Cappadocia, didn't we? From America, Dallas and Hannah. We actually went skiing in Turkey, didn't we?
Yeah, there was that much
so we
snow.
spent like a whole week with them because we'd been on our own for weeks and weeks, hadn't we? And then we met them and they were dead outgoing and fun, so we had a good time with them. But we keep in touch with them.
Yeah, and that's the good thing with social media, isn't it? You sort of can see what you might not see each other for a couple of years, whatever, but you sort of keep up with what they're doing in life, and you can send them a message. So we will always. We'd
like to think we'd stay with them when we get to America.
Yeah, because we're going to go their way in the future, and likewise with other people we meet. People do message us saying, when you come into, say, Southeast Asia, so it's like we are heading that way. So it's going to take us the rest of the year, but we'll be there.
Definitely, and that's one thing I love about social media is how easy it is to keep up with people, from your past or that you've met on your travels along the way, even if you're not necessarily actively speaking to them. You can keep up just generally with what they're doing, sort of see how they are. Apart friends and family aside, is there anything else you're missing about home?
Not me now.
I'm missing me Walker's crisp prawn cocktail.
Very specific, but I like it.
All of them that no.
I don't think so. No, because
no, not really, do we?
No. So don't get me wrong. I love the UK. I love where we're from, back home. But I prefer to be. I don't like to be in one place for long, really. So. So it's quite easy at the moment. I don't miss home now. It's just the people there that you can miss, and you do think about them people quite often when you're cycling, when you've got the long days in the saddle. Your mind just don't stop thinking about things, do you?
It was really, really boring at one point, wasn't it, in Turkey? So we had downloaded podcasts. Yeah, you were listening to podcasts to make the time pass and keep going.
Yes, Ricky Gervais. I'm listening to people that I'd never be interested in, but it's just to take the boredom away, and sometimes the sheer pain of cycling up mountains and the cold. So suddenly you'd think, wow, 2 hours has passed. Great.
That's good then. That's nice that you found that. So for anyone who wants to help you guys out, how can we find you on social media?
Well, social media. So we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, and the easiest way to search us on there, you can obviously put Chris and Gabs World Cycling Tour, or you can just simply put @World Cycling Tour, and we pop up. So either way, we seem to be pretty easy to find now if you just Google our names. And then we've got our website, which is chrisandgabsworldcyclingtour.com. So there's a lot of stuff on there on the website. We use social media obviously on a regular basis, but there's only so much you can put on there, isn't there? So,
well, personally, I'd recommend following you guys because it's just something different every day, which is what I love about it. And because you're traveling constantly, there's just like fresh content all the time, and it's really nice to keep up with you. Now, for anyone who wants to donate and help the cause, how can they do that?
They can go on our website, isn't it? Is the best, yeah. Chris and Gabs World Cycling Tour, and it's just all on there, isn't it?
Yeah,
how to donate.
I've got it on that many pages. You can see there's a page called Donate. So on the home page, it just says Donate here, but it's not just a button where you have to just. There's a full everything's on there. So before you choose to donate, maybe you want to read the full story while you're donating, and it might interest you. Yeah, because we are
website.
Yeah, because we are 100% self-funding, so every penny that we make, we don't take a penny of it, so it'll go to the charity. That's the thing. Even if sometimes we've been given things from companies. Like we was recently given a Man City football top. Is it signed top by? Is it Lapora? I don't actually.
Yeah, I'm Marit Laporte.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So, because Gabs' dad used to play for Man City many years ago, so they gave us this top, and but yeah, so for instance, we auctioned that, and it raised, I can't remember what it raised,
£600 or £700
or something to the charity. So yeah, so even if people give us anything, it all goes to the charity, and it's auctioned, or likewise, like say, cash, because sometimes people do give us money on the streets, and we pay it on to Just Giving. So yeah, again, you can do that through all the social media. There's always a link there, which it always directs you to our website, basically.
Good
Chris
stuff.
has done a great job with all the social media.
Well, I know you've got a tight media schedule today. I'm just one of many people who wants to speak to you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
Yeah, what else can we talk about? Let's just check the time.
We're actually going hiking next week up into the mountains. So we thought we'd take ourselves off on a 4-day hike, didn't we?
Yeah. We're going to be, so this time we're going to be travelling through the mountains.
We're going to Mestia. And then we're hiking up to it's supposed to be the highest village in Europe.
Yeah. Even though I believe Georgia's not officially in Europe, is it? But they I don't know, there's a bit of a mixed thing.
It's transcontinental, like a slight percentage of the land mass is in Europe, and a lot of it's in Asia. But I'm glad you're going hiking anyway, because I think you could really do with the exercise.
Well, it'll be interesting, won't it? Because we're not actually.
We're taking the drone.
Yeah, we'll have the tents. We're going to be camping up in the mountains. So I've got the route. It's about I think it's a 60-kilometre trek. I know. We've no experience in
I've not done it before.
So yeah, I've got a compass. Don't actually know how to use the compass, but
might take. We're supposed to take like 4 days. We could be gone for about 2 weeks. No one knows.
Yeah, it's supposed to be quite a tough climb. Yeah, it's not. It's more the navigation could prove to be a problem, because we prefer to follow roads, and this is going to be really interesting. So we've only booked a one-way ticket, because we actually get the train, then we have to get a bus. We was going to fly, because there's a cheap internal flight, but there's only one
plane without 6 seats on it.
Yeah, and it's fully booked, so we're having to do it the long way. Because he said, do you want to get a return? It was like, well, I don't really think we need to book a return, because we don't actually know how long it's going to take us to get back. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And what else? Have we got anything else planned?
No, that's it so far.
Yeah.
But you'll see all our pictures and films from that.
Yeah,
on our social media.
On our website, there is a lot of photographs on that. Some of them are probably quite boring, because I tend to take a lot of photographs, and I don't actually really look at them. I just upload them, because it goes on to what's it called, Flickr. But it's all links to the website. So there's a lot of photos on there which are probably just duplicates. I don't actually edit them. I don't delete them.
And you do a film of every country.
Yeah.
That we've been to.
There's newsletters. Actually, so every month we do a newsletter for the charity, because we have a few followers that pay. They sort of subscribe, and it's like they pay £5 a month, and they get this. They get like a personalised newsletter and all this. And so once they've read them, we put them onto our website, and it is, because we don't actually write blogs as such, do we? We don't do like a daily blog. We just do like a video blog every now and again. But yeah, so the newsletters are quite interesting. They're all wrote by Gabs. So
excuse the spelling.
So you're the filmer and she's the writer.
Yeah.
Once a month I do that.
Well, thank you very much for coming on my podcast. I'm sure we'll catch up sometime in the near future. Best of luck, especially with your Azerbaijan to Kazakhstan boat. So that sounds very interesting. But I'm sure you'll be fine. And yeah, thank you very much, and it's been great having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.